helpful, but
Absolutely.
they're not going to just let me say, give me 2,000 push-ups. They're going to challenge, but you push them because my job is not necessarily to prepare them for that match tomorrow. It's prepare them to get out here in the
For
real
life.
world.
Want to welcome you to the Court Ready podcast. My
Okay.
name is Shay Dunn, and I am here to interview the Terry Alexander, 40 years plus.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, first, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been quite a long road. I started out just picking up a tennis racket with a neighbor, and we just went to the court and hit around. And it turned out we liked it a little bit, but I stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
I only had one other family member, an uncle,
Okay.
who took me out on the court, and I hit around with him for a couple of times, and he suggested maybe, I stick with it, and
Wow.
I did. But during the time that I was learning, I didn't know about getting coaches and getting private lessons, so I taught myself how to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the other guys that I grew up with, I would watch them take lessons. Their parents was paying for them to have lessons, and I would just sit on the side and take in whatever the instructor was telling them.
Yep.
And I would just go try to imitate it and do it myself by hitting on the wall or whatever.
Wow.
And that's how I learned. And then probably the and I didn't start until I was in high school, so
Okay.
15.
No
And
kidding.
then the first 3 years of high school, I probably only missed like 60 days, not being on the court or not having a racket in my hand. I used to always do some, practice my serve or hit on the wall, and that's how I caught up with a lot of the guys that I grew up with that had been playing since they was like 7 and 8 and all of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
By the time my junior year and senior year in high school, I had caught up with a lot of them, and I was just as competitive as them.
Wow.
And then teaching wise, my junior year in high school, the high school girls coach, she wasn't a tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of high schools, they
Yeah,
just
just
get a
whoever's
faculty
willing.
member.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she came to the boys team and asked if anybody was willing to help, her coach the team. We would coach the tennis, and she would take care of the paperwork and administrative part. And I did. I said I'd be interested, and that's how I got into teaching. And a lot of the girls that were on the team, they knew me anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't mind taking instruction from me. And then that summer, I taught in Parks and Recreation NJTL program,
Mm-hmm.
and the Parks and Rec would pay us to teach, and a lot of the instructors were high school players or college players,
Okay.
and I started to realize that it was some money to be made in
Sure.
teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a whole lot easier than trying to become a pro, especially if you're a first generation player, you don't have the support as far as
Sure.
somebody
Right.
legacy to guide you.
Right.
So you're figuring it all out by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and which was fine, So that's what I did, and once I started teaching, it kind of enhanced my playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave me a different outlook when I teach students. I always tell them, you could take some ownership of your own
Mm-hmm.
advancement
Mm-hmm.
by, you know, working on stuff outside of lessons.
Right.
Because growing up, we didn't have YouTube,
Right
we didn't
on.
have the internet, everything else. You either watched tennis or you read a book.
Absolutely.
Well, people and kids today have everything,
Right.
so they can Google and look at everything. So not to sell coaches short, but coaches don't have to play the role that they play, if the student really wanted to learn how to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell, students all the time that it kind of should be 50-50. You get introduced to different strokes or techniques or mechanics, and
Mm-hmm.
then you go work on it on your own,
Right.
and then you come back and let the coach see what it looks like now
Sure.
and fine tune it. And that one, that saves you a lot of money, but also it gives you ownership in
Indeed.
your own progress. you
Indeed.
know and
Indeed.
when you're talking about group situations, coaches, they're human. They're going to always somewhat gravitate towards the
That's
students that they
minority.
view as having the most potential,
Mm-hmm.
or the ones whose parents paying them more money. So
Sure.
it's just natural. So that's
Absolutely.
why I wouldn't put all my eggs in the basket of the coach alone. I wanted to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
have some input. And I tell my students, you need to have some input. You need to take ownership of your own progress.
So, how do you recommend a player go about that? I mean, is it just simply what you said, just, developing themselves outside of, working with the coach, or, are there other things that they can do?
Right. So all players, no matter what level, and that's the difference between now and 30 years ago. You got different avenues of competition. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
even with the adults, you have flex leagues,
Mm-hmm.
and you got tournaments and you got league play. So if you're on a team and you're not getting the play that you want, then you can always sign up for one or two, three flex leagues
Sure.
and compete on that in those venues.
Mm-hmm.
Or, excuse me, you go on the USTA website, go to Tennis Link, and you can look at the
Right.
tournaments that's all around the country, all around the city, all around your state, and
Mm-hmm.
you go out and compete in those. Now, what's going to happen is, if you're successful in flex, if you're successful in tournaments, you anybody else has access to that same information, so
Sure.
they can see your results.
Yeah.
So they're gonna notice. They're gonna say, "Hey, she's winning here or he's winning there.
Mm-hmm.
They should be winning in league play and give you more playing time."
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you have team practices, when you have team coaching, then you have to, put the pedal to the metal sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and use that night practice to show, I want to
Yes.
challenge these people and challenge them for their position,
Mm-hmm.
and show how you've improved or gotten better that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no reason for somebody to wait to, you know, on the sideline
Wait to
to
be
be
noticed.
chosen.
Yeah.
Right. You can, get out there and do it yourself, and people will. If you win, it don't matter where you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is going to notice, and the word is going to get around, and
Absolutely.
you end up accomplishing what you want to accomplish, which you want to get more playing time on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference when you have kids and parents involved, a lot of times their end goal is college scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. Alta has tennis ladders, and USTA has tennis ladders, and
Yeah,
different
absolutely.
clubs and tennis centers have tennis ladders. And your kid participating in those and doing well in those will help them put together a resume that will help
Mm-hmm.
them be able to sway a college coach,
Okay.
maybe in a tryout or, in a video or whatever. But if the parents really want the kid to get a scholarship, it's so many schools out there. They just have to be open to the possibility. Everybody
May
can't
not
play
be
at Georgia
Division One.
Tech, and
Mm-hmm.
right, everybody can't play Division One, but a college scholarship paying for education, once you get your degree,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be, what it was all about. And then hopefully, tennis is a sport of a lifetime, that even though they get a degree, they will continue playing even after they finish school,
Indeed.
after they, on their career path as well.
What do the Morehouse men's tennis team, what do the individuals talk to me about their end game? What's their goal?
Well, I've been here for 32 years now. So
Wow.
when I first started, and I tell people, and I tell even the kids as I coach them, that it's gonna be transition. Everybody transition. When I first got here, winning was everything. That's all I cared about for the most part.
Hmm.
I didn't have to focus, and that's one thing. You don't necessarily have to focus on Morehouse guys' education, because in order to get
Where they
into
are.
the
Yeah.
school, the
A bar
bar is
has been set.
already high, so they
Yeah.
met that, and so they know in order to stay here, they got to continue to meet that.
Love it.
Okay, but when I first got here, we practiced to win,
Hmm.
and I won championships as far as conference championships. We never were good enough to go far in the NCAA tournaments, but it was understandable because we're coming from this institution whose academia is,
The
the
focus.
focus. So,
Hmm.
but you have some good players. So, but we've had players since I've been here, some of them that turned pro. We've had
Wow.
some that have gone on to become tennis instructors and coaches as well.
Yes.
So, but the majority of them, they know they come here no matter how well and how good they play tennis. Their goal is to get their college degree
Hmm.
and be on a career path.
Right.
And so, in all the guys, I got plenty of doctors. I got some lawyers. I got some entertainers. So
Hmm.
it's a wide variety of different career paths. Even my own son played for me. He graduated, and
Oh,
he's a
what a
pilot.
blessing.
And
Congrats.
so, it makes is and my transition is from then until now. I'm more focused on these guys getting out of here.
Hmm.
To make sure, because I don't recruit to have this monster team anymore. I
Sure.
recruit guys that can finish
Hmm.
and graduate in a timely manner so they can
Absolutely.
get on,
Yeah.
and we enjoy and share the moments that tennis brought us while they were here,
Absolutely.
traveling together, working out, playing matches, having the challenges of the matches, going to the different cities that we play,
Hmm.
and then also you remember the arguments, because anytime you have a group of people together, they're not gonna always get along,
Absolutely.
you know, and that's even with me.
Yep.
Some of them have the it's funny, when they're freshmen, it's almost like I can say anything to them and they won't say anything back. But as
They
they
get to know
transition
you.
to their junior and senior year, then they start to, get more confident, and they will challenge and question and whatever. But,
Hmm.
we always keep it respectful. But they're
Absolutely.
not going to just let me say, give me 2,000 push ups. They're going to challenge, but you push them, because my job is not necessarily to prepare them for that match tomorrow. It's prepare them to get out here in the
For
real
life.
world. And we all know black males in the real world, the challenges we have, and
Hmm.
being able to make it, for them to make it to my age, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and because some of them don't,
Sure thing.
and so that's what my transition has been, more holistic, getting them prepared
Hmm.
for to spend the rest of their life, being, a great, human being in society.
Indeed. I
Yeah,
really love that take, Terry.
yeah,
I do. In particular, because with tennis, I think a lot of the tennis uninitiated, especially if they're just viewing majors on television, for example, they may have the perception that it's majority an individual sport. And
mhm,
we talk about that a good bit of tennis being an individual sport. But you have a different perspective because not only are you coaching men who are playing on a team, but you're also a part of a team or maybe multiple teams
right,
yourself. So you have a understanding that tennis is more than just about what's inside the mind, what's, between the ears, but it's also about the camaraderie. It's also about the social development. It's also about building people up, becoming stronger,
Right.
not only as individuals, but learning how to work together, teamwork and all of those things. So, can you talk to me a bit more about how your perspectives, how you've developed yourself to work with people in different settings, different groups? How does that impact, how you go about your day to day, not just day to day,
Right.
but.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I say, I've been lucky and fortunate, to have had a life path that has always put me in spaces of diversity. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing. I'm a military vet, United States Navy. So when you're in the military, you meet everybody from everywhere.
Wow.
Everybody is not just from the city or state I grew up in. They're from
Mm-hmm.
all over the country,
Mm-hmm.
and then some of them have parents that came from other countries and they were born here. So
Mm-hmm.
if you spend time talking to people, you find out what their story is.
Yes.
And then, like I say, by me being in the military, I've done overseas tours, and I've always had my rackets with me, and I've always taught everywhere I've gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand what it's like, to be the odd one out. I understand what it's like to be in a new environment and have to adjust. And so I can understand when I get those new people coming in how to, make them more welcome and
I
more
love that.
relaxed, and then, but tell them, and that's the thing, everybody needs to, learn others
Mm-hmm.
and, appreciate their differences, but also, you know, um, don't hide your own. You're
Sure.
still, an
A
individual
unique.
and you
Yep.
are important
Mm-hmm.
and you have a background and you have, a story. So keep yourself, of importance. And
Indeed.
so as I teach, I realize, that's one thing. I'm always giving lessons, but I'm always taking the time to find out where people work, where
Mm-hmm.
they were from, how they, got an interest in tennis, and making comparisons, seeing,
Yeah.
how it correlates with my life,
Mm-hmm.
or because I've taught so many people, I can say, "Oh yeah, this lady, she's from Mississippi too," and
I see.
now somebody else, and that's one of the main things I try to do. So I have my group me that
Mm-hmm.
I do drills, and the group me I'm sure is over 300 and some
No kidding.
people, 350 I think it was up to,
Wow.
and I tell people all the time, it's not just for you to find out where the lessons are with me.
Mm-hmm.
You got 350 people that you can
Make some
Google and say
connections.
who wants to hit today.
Yeah.
But not only that, you never know whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it in the group me. And maybe somebody that got the same idea as you
Mm-hmm.
and looking for somebody to partner with to do that.
Sure
And
thing.
and so that's what I always try to do, create an environment not only with the people I teach, but just the people I cross paths with, any kind of networking opportunity. And it may not be with me, but it might be through me. You know, I don't know everybody that you know. You don't know everybody that I know, but we know each other, so we can go through, each
Absolutely.
other and make connections for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so the tennis part just becomes a
Vehicle.
catalyst,
Mm-hmm.
just to keep things going. And if people learn to play well, people win a few matches, it just makes it better. And 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 in talking to people, you have some people that just want to do it for the exercise, and you have some
Yep.
people that want to do it for the competition, and you have some people that want to do it just to meet other people,
Indeed.
and everybody, it had, they get out of it what they need, and that's what most important in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And but the networking thing has always been big for me, to be able to help people get the help they need in whatever venue it is. It could be a plumber.
Right
Plumbers
on.
play tennis too.
Yeah, yeah.
And so and that's just been a big thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell everybody in some ways, I feel like tennis may have saved me. It
Mhm.
definitely developed me as a person.
Mhm.
I remember being a young woman in business and feeling so awkward walking into new settings, business settings. People will say the scary questions, being somewhat of an introvert,
Right.
they ask you, so tell us your name and tell us a little bit about yourself. And I'm like, uh,
Yeah.
I'm Shay and I'm boring. I don't have a life,
Yeah.
don't have any kids and this and that.
Yeah.
But because of tennis, in a sense, I mean, I'm very grateful. Like you said, it has opened up a lot of doors and it has given me lots of opportunities, not just within the sport, like you said. I mean, I do it in part for the exercise, in part for the camaraderie and friendships and all of those things. But, throughout the course of time that I've played, I've met so many people and they have really supported me in a lot of different ways. And so I'm very grateful to have found the sport. That said, how has tennis actually impacted your life? You said you have a son that
Right.
plays and
Yeah.
has gone on to big things.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit
And
more about
so
your
yeah,
family.
that's one of the definitely high points that tennis. That's one thing he and I share, and then the fact that he played for me at Morehouse, and I growing up, and I always used to hear about different coaches and sons playing, together, or one
Mm-hmm.
the father coaching the son in football or baseball or
Right.
whatever, and it doesn't happen that often. So when it happens, it ends up being a thing that those family members can share for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one big thing. I actually had opportunity to leave and go coach somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
but once it was a possibility of him coming here, I said, "Well, I'll stay and see if he comes here." And he did, and then we ended up having 4 years where I was his
Wow.
coach, and it's something
How
you can't
surreal.
take that. You can't. It's nothing that equals that. And it's funny because the players, they all respect both of us,
Yeah,
but they know he's my son. But I have to
absolutely.
show them, hey, I'm not going to show him favoritism,
Right.
And then at the same time, my son is in an awkward position because I always encourage the team members, you know, to be a unit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just supplementing your unit. I need you guys to be a unit, be brothers. So it's gonna be some stuff I don't need to know. Y'all need to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to
Deal with it,
talk
work it out.
about and all of that. And he had to gain and make sure he had their trust that
Mm-hmm.
they could share with him, and he
That
was
he
going to
wouldn't.
tell me,
I see.
and he did, and it was just funny. I could see sometimes he was so used to saying dad this, dad that, but he
Mm-hmm.
had to say coach
Coach.
like them,
Yeah.
in order to stay, and just being able to experience those type things together. We won a championship. Um, one of the um, one of the most challenging times was when um, my mom died. My
Mm-hmm.
mom was living with me here. Um, my son, he's in school.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lesson. It was, that day, and the caregiver was at my house. She would come and take care of my mom during the day, you know, while
While
I'm
you
at
were
work.
working.
And the caregiver called me and told me that my mom wasn't feeling very. Her stomach was upset. So I went in to get her some pain, some stomach
Mm-hmm.
antacid or whatever. And while
Mm-hmm.
I was in line, the caregiver called me back and said it's getting worse. I'm gonna take her to the hospital, to the emergency room, just to get her checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kept going downhill from that.
I see.
And so I called my son and said, "Hey, I got a lesson at um, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Can you do that lesson for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then just hang there. I'll come get you, take you to dinner."
Mm-hmm.
But by all of that time, my mom had passed.
I see.
So I came and got him, and he could instantly tell that I wasn't the
Yourself.
same.
Yeah.
Right. So we went to dinner and we ate, and then I said, "Well, I got something to tell you," and he was like, "Dad, I don't want to
He,
hear it. I want it." I
oh,
said, "Nah, it's part of being here, probably growing up. You're gonna have
sure,
man up.
sure.
This is just how things are."
Mm-hmm.
And so the next day, we were starting the first round of the conference tournament,
Mm.
and we are playing against a school. We were playing against Benedict, and you know, I can't remember how we did against them during the season, but I just know it was hard. Both matches we played, it was hard. I can't remember whether they beat us or we
Mm-hmm.
beat them, but it
Mm-hmm.
was hard. And but I do remember my son played the same guy he played during the season, and he had lost to him both times.
Wow.
But it was close, 7-5, 7-5, both times.
Wow.
So we start playing. Benedict jumps out to a lead. They have us 4-1, 4 matches to 1, and this is best of 9. So all they
Mm-hmm.
need is one more.
Mm-hmm.
We have to win all the rest of the matches. And my son is on the court, and with the team, we had a team meeting before we started playing, and I told them, I say, I know, how y'all are. I appreciate y'all support. I said, I got so much on my mind today. People gonna be calling me, family members. I'm not gonna be able to coach you. I said, I need y'all to just play, do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the one thing I don't want you to do is don't play for me or Noah. You got to play. Just play your match. Because
Yeah.
I said, you're going to feel bad if you lose and you said you
You.
trying to play for us. I
Yeah.
said, so we won't have none of that.
Wow.
And I told my son, I said, I know I can't coach. So if you don't feel like you can play, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You can forfeit your line and just keep it moving. He said, no, Dad, I'm going to play. So
Mm.
we go down 4-1, and my son ends up playing like the match of his whole
Right.
season
Wow.
against the same guy, and
Yep.
he just wiped them off. The We have referees out there,
Yeah.
USTA officials out there,
Mm.
and they came over to me and they was like, I've never seen him play like that, and
Amazing.
and that started off like a domino effect. The
With
rest
the
of the
rest of the
team
team.
got the energy from him, and we just end up taking all the rest of the matches one by one,
Yeah.
and end up beating them 5-4. And so I'm
Wow.
saying it's moments like that, times
Yeah.
like that, even
Yeah.
though it was some tragedy with it,
Sure.
but the other part of it that happened, it just makes for a memory that I wouldn't have been able to get,
Right.
any other way.
And somehow it just manages to galvanize you in a
Right.
way that is otherwise not even possible. So, my last question to you is, what do you want for yourself as far as impact? What are your goals? What do you hope to achieve? What do you want your legacy to be in terms of tennis and beyond?
Well, I mean, definitely the last 30 years, I have been teaching and kind of developing a strategy and plan that's successful because, like I say, it's built on me having taught myself versus taking a lot of lessons. So I've built a process, put together a process that
Mm-hmm.
helps people develop no matter what level they're on, And so I want to be able to pass that on, and that's why I'm doing the YouTube
Mm-hmm.
videos and different things
Mm-hmm.
to be able to help them utilize and just have another way versus the typical, way things are done.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing, like I tell the guys that come here, a lot of them, especially, when I first got here, they were typical, junior players that had been playing since they was 5 and 6 and 7,
Mhm.
and I tell them, you're 18 to 21, you've been playing tennis over 15 years.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that haven't been working at their job 15 years. You've been in tennis or
Wow.
in sports 15 years
Mm.
before you seriously consider these other career paths. You need to really consider whether you might be able to make a career out of what
Ah.
you're doing. And
Mhm.
that's what, I decided after, even starting as late as I did, but luckily I started teaching earlier.
Mhm.
But then I was like, yeah, when I went to college, I was an engineering major,
Mhm.
but I didn't have the heart. That wasn't where my heart was. That was
Sure.
just because I was good at math and science.
Yep.
But then when I found out, hey, this tennis teaching thing, people make money at it, then I can just do that and enjoy it. Like now,
Yeah.
it's paid for my education, it's paid for my son's education. So already that's more than a lot of people, get out of anything. And I
Absolutely.
just realized, and I try to, all of them won't do it, but at least some of them considered it. And some of my players, my former players, are coaches now,
Mm.
and and they realize,
Wow.
hey, I've been playing tennis for 15 years. Why would I, go
Why
be
would I
a
leave?
something else, an
Yeah.
accountant or a doc, and
Mhm.
I love tennis, and I'm like, make it work for you. So so my legacy is better tennis for us, better tennis for the community in general by
Mhm.
giving them another way to learn the game and get better at it
Mhm.
versus just shelling out money for lessons,
Yep.
and then trying to introduce and be a example to others coming behind me that they're gonna have even more opportunity than I had because, like I said,
Yeah.
you can make money just off YouTube videos and all that,
Absolutely.
so just having them to open their mind and be comfortable with giving it a try to
Mhm.
do something else for whatever amount of time. It may not be something that you have to do for the rest of your life, but at least do it, get it out your system,
Yeah.
and then move on to something else and be comfortable with that. And that's the funny thing because my son, he jabs me all the time saying he don't know how I can stay working for one place as long as I have because he worked somewhere 3 4 years and he's ready to move,
Okay.
and his generation, that
How
what we
old is he
do.
now?
He's 31.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what they
That's his,
do. They
yeah.
work and then they see other opportunity, then they out. They,
Pew.
yeah, and that's, and it takes guts to do that, you
Certainly.
know.
Certainly.
Whereas, I'm not saying I don't have guts, but I don't have that
But I
kind of
tell you
guts,
what
you
though,
know.
like my opinion is
Hmm.
that it actually is, so we've for years, decades, maybe even centuries,
Hmm.
our people have believed that we've lacked access, and there is definitely some truth to that.
Right,
But what I'm finding is that even more than that, we've lacked vision because
right,
we don't have the personal experiences within our communities. We
right.
don't know anybody who's doing the things. So if we knew people and had that vision, that perspective, we could say, oh, I can do what Terry's doing, or
Right.
I could do what so and so is doing. And
Yep.
so I love what you're doing
Right.
here. You're making something available. You're giving them both access and a vision for what's possible,
Right.
and opening people's minds that there's just so much more, and to giving them the willingness to explore their opportunities.
Yep. And all they have to do is, like you say, have the vision, whether it's clear or not.
Yeah.
Somebody else is probably already thinking along the same lines.
That's right.
And if anytime the same two people with those things come together, you never know what can happen.
Mhm.
So that's been what I want to, leave the legacy as, and when I transition from here, wherever that is, I want people to be able to say I did some positive things.
Of course.
I know I'm gonna have some people that's gonna hate because
That's
they're gonna,
natural. It's part of
right,
life.
yeah, whatever reason, jealousy, or
And
they
especially
took
after
a
you
L,
gone, they're gonna be
right,
able to blame you for
right,
everything that
yeah,
ain't right.
yep. So, but I just feel like it'll be enough ones that felt positive
Oh yeah.
impact from me being here, and I think ultimately that's all that counts. And then at the same time, I leave another legacy of having a son. So,
Yeah.
he'll have
Yeah.
to carry on the torch, for the family name.
Indeed, indeed,
Yep.
indeed. So, second last
Hmm.
question. Tell me one Coach Terry ism. What's the thing that all your students, adult and
Yeah, it's
student
funny.
athlete?
It's funny you say that because so I have a bunch of sayings. So what I did earlier, earlier in the spring, I started it off in the group chat, put one of my sayings down, and it just kept going. Because I have a bunch. Like when players, like if I'm on the sideline or on the court, and players make a silly mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I yell out, why? So they made t shirts, you know, the whole team made t shirts when they went to state and just put why, because
Oh my
that's what I'm going to do.
gosh.
And they know I could be 2 courts away. And I even do it with the Morehouse guys. I'm 2 courts away and you just double fault it. And I just yell out, why? And they know it's me. And they
I
know they
love it.
did. And then I say it certain things so much that
Mm-hmm.
even when I'm not there, they say I
They're
had you
saying
in
it.
my head,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
sometimes I'm watching and they make a mistake, and before I can even say it, they say it.
I love it.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's certain things like that. It's funny. And then another one when on the reverse side, when they do it right, I always say, there you go, to let them
Mm-hmm.
know,
That's the
reinforcing,
encouragement.
supportive,
Yes.
and so whenever they mocking me, that's what they'll do. When they, like they'll score a point on me. Oh, there you go, there you go, you know, so it goes both ways. But it ended up, being a whole long list of my sayings in that
Wow.
group me. And then, but one day, what I'm gonna do is try to squeeze them all on a shirt.
Please do
Yeah,
that. Make sure I get one.
yeah, because
Okay.
I try to make the coaching sessions and the practice sessions, if not entertaining, but
Mhm.
at least different and not as structured. I mean, we're gonna
Mhm.
work on what we need to work
Yeah.
on, but
Yeah.
at some point, you've been on the court an hour and a half or whatever. The
Mhm.
last 30 minutes, you got to have some fun or you got
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
some entertainment. And so that's what I try to do, no matter who I'm working with. Try to lighten it, but they all know we're gonna have a part where we're serious and trying to
Mhm.
sweat and trying to get it right. But at some point, hey, you only can do so much today. We're not gonna
Today,
get it
yes.
all today.
Yeah.
So let's have some fun and do some stuff, talk some junk, whatever. Tennis is a thing that bonds people if
Mhm.
they want to be bonded. That is,
Certainly.
right.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be here. So I'm hoping probably the last legacy, which I'm just getting off. Well, I ain't gonna say getting off the ground. It's still on the ground, but I'm just kind of putting out
Put it
there
out there.
is trying to get a indoor facility for us.
Mhm.
So um, so I'm
What's your vision? Who's going to utilize the
well,
facility?
I'm hoping you know my current students,
Mhm.
future students, and then Morehouse
Here at
team.
Morehouse.
Well, it's not going to be at Morehouse. It might
Okay.
be near here, but
Okay. I
it should
see.
be accessible to the Morehouse team. They
I
should
see.
be able to call it, their home courts. But
Mhm.
my vision of this facility is like 6 to 8 indoor courts, maybe about 12 to 15 outdoor courts, some pickleball courts.
I
So
see.
it'll be like a
So a full
club
facility.
facility,
Okay.
but it'll have a sliding scale, because I want everybody to be able to play if they can
Mm-hmm.
play,
Sure.
and but be of some quality, you know,
No.
that we can be proud of, and the staff would be diverse
Mm-hmm.
as far as not just race, but diverse in age. I want to have seniors there,
Mm-hmm.
because you got seniors that sit at home.
Mm-hmm.
They could be sitting over there interacting with younger people, and that keeps
Mm-hmm.
them
Going.
feeling younger.
Yeah.
So I want stuff like that to happen.
Yeah.
And I want veterans, and I want those with
Disabilities.
disabilities
Yeah.
to be able to take advantage. So that's my ultimate
So it's a
dream and
bit of
vision of a legacy to leave. And it
yeah.
don't have to have my name on it. It just has to be in existence. Because once
Mm-hmm.
it's in existence, enough people will know whose vision it was. So.
Yeah. And it's never really about us. It's
Hmm.
about what we leave behind. It's
Right.
about what we can do for other people. And ultimately that makes us feel good.
Right. Yep.
So, you
Yep.
know, it's everything.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Terry Alexander, it's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate
And I
you.
wish you luck with your vision of, getting all the dreams and ideas and history of the game,
Indeed.
in archives. So it'll
Yeah.
be here after we're gone.
Yeah, certainly. And, early on, you talked about your YouTube channel and
Right.
how you've got a few segments that have garnered a lot of views
Hmm.
and attention and everything. And, here I am, like with a twinge of hope and excitement, like, wow, maybe one day, my shows will actually reach people. Maybe
Right.
I'll be able to extend my reach as well. Um, but one of the beauties of YouTube is the fact that it lasts. Just
Right.
like you said,
Yeah.
I could be dead and gone.
Yep. It'll
And
still
as
be
long as
there.
it's still there, maybe somebody will get some kind of benefit from it.
Right.
And that's my only
Yeah.
goal.
But even that, they may take it further than what you took it,
Yeah,
and build upon it, and it's never ending. So, yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all right. I'll let
Okay.
you get back to your life.
Okay.
I appreciate you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Okay.